I'm doing this season out of Asia because, as we all know, things are shifting right now, and basically they're shifting from the west to the east. Economically and culturally, there's just a shift. And I think it's important that we recognise that. It's important that we engage with those cultures where obviously the shift of power is happening.
We have to embrace the fact that Asian art generally is kind of a supernova force at this day and age. Having worked with companies in Asia like Cloudgate in Taiwan and also National Ballet of China in Beijing, I feel like I've been able to kind of learn at least a little bit about the way artists think in Asia. And for me it's fascinating because they have so much history, and so much history also that is being made right now.
I was born and raised in Taiwan, and so I could really see the development of contemporary dance in Taiwan in the past 20 years is very dramatic. Obviously, the biggest company is Cloudgate, which is doing amazing work. In addition to that, there's so many other different forms of contemporary dance, you know, improvisation, dance theatre, site-specific, and all sorts of experimental dance. So they're interested in using body as a means to really express all sorts of ideas.
I think the question which is most fascinating, or the observation which is most fascinating between Asia and the West, is what are the differences in the body? And what's interesting that is coming out from the Asian scene is that there is an inherent sense of spirituality, an inherent sense of devotion.
In travelling backwards and forwards from the east to the west, you get off the plane in Singapore or Beijing and there's a different atmosphere. I mean, it's just all happening there. It's a very vital, exhilarating experience to be there because things are changing rapidly. People are working so hard at all of these endeavours, and that sort of economic and cultural change is reflected in the art. So when I went over to see TAO Theatre, for example, they were rehearsing in an unused office block in the middle of Beijing, in this most extraordinary building, but it hadn't been filled yet, and they were rehearsing in this space. So there's a sense of, well, let's just make the best use of the resources we have, let's make work, let's do these things. I think it's very hard to predict what is going to happen in that region because things are changing so dramatically. I mean, every time I go to Beijing, I can hardly recognise the place I've been before because there's so much development. And in a way, some of the work reflects the issues there of rapid change. So it's hard to predict, but I would say that there will always be a tendency for the companies there not to forget where they're from, and also they do try and relate back to their history and their myths and legends.
I think at the moment it is really blossoming because we were so very much influenced by America in the beginning and then the Europeans. Maybe there is a place for us to establish a very Taiwanese way, Taiwanese version of contemporary dance in the next 10 years, and I'm really looking forward to that possibility. I believe the future of contemporary dance will take place in Asia because the resources are there, whether it's creative, whether it's economic. People are really enthusiastic about performing arts. There's no baggage. It's new anyway, so I'm allowed, anything is possible. That's the future.